From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Melinda Akilami.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, Labour Party presidential flag bearer Peter Obi promises to tackle challenges of food production and flooding if voted into power in 2023 as the party flags off its nationwide campaign in Lafia, Nasarawa State. Be ready to live with the consequences of your choices. Bishop Matthew Kukah challenges political parties on their selection of candidates for the general elections. It's a tale of despair in various camps for persons displaced by the ravaging flood in River State. We capture the condition in the camps as the victims struggle to make meaning out of their situation. And death toll in stampede in South Korea rises to over 100, with about 100 more people injured after huge crowds gathered in a popular nightlife area in Seoul to celebrate Halloween.
And on business news tonight, Russia halts Black Sea grain export deal brokered by United Nations and Turkey, citing attack on Crimea.
On sports news tonight, Super Eagles forward Victor Osimhen scores a hat-trick to send Napoli 6 points clear at the top of the Italian Serie A.
Is top in the news as we begin in Nasarawa State, where the Labour Party has formally flagged off its presidential campaign ahead of the 2023 general elections, promising to bring fresh ideas to governance. Addressing party supporters at the event in Lafia, the state capital, the party's presidential candidate, Mr. Peter Obi, promised to address the issue of flooding currently ravaging the nation, food security, and other challenges facing the country. He also said substantial investment will be made in youth empowerment as well as provision of electricity.
The presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, his running mates Yusuf Dati Baba Ahmed, and officials of the party arriving at the venue of the flag-off of the party's campaign for the 2023 general elections in Lafia, the Nasarawa state capital. They make their way to the stage to join party supporters who are eager to hear from Mr. Obi, his running mate, Mr. Baba Ahmed, and the party's national chairman, Mr. Julius Abure.
Labour Party! Nigeria.
The vice presidential candidate of the Labour Party, who spoke in Hausa language, asked the people to vote for the Labour Party because it has the interests of the masses at heart.
The only thing standing between us and a prosperous Nigeria where people coexist in peace and harmony is the day of the presidential election, and I urge you to remember to vote the Labour Party on that day.
Papa, Mama, Pikin.
Before handing over the party's flag to the Labour Party flag bearer, the national chairman of the party, Julius Abure, says the 2023 election presents an opportunity to bring fresh ideas into the governance of the nation.
Labour Party is the party that will deliver Nigeria from hunger, from poverty, from unemployment. It is only Labour Party that has the answer. It is not enough for us here. It is not by mouths. It is by your action. It is by our action. You must have your PVC.
He then hands over the party's flag to the candidate.
I now officially present the party flag.
Shortly after, Mr. Obi addresses the gathering, promising to tackle the nation's challenges if elected president in 2023.
I assure you, if we come into power, we'll solve the flooding problem. We will support youths, because today, Nigerian youths don't have a hope. When we come into government, the youths will have hope. Schools will make sure that people go back to school. Schools will start working. We are going to do whatever. Today in Nigeria, the price of food, people spend all their money to feed themselves. So many people can't even feed themselves. We'll make sure that we'll start the journey of Nigeria being sufficient in food production.
With the campaign formally taking off, the Labour Party says it is set to take its message of hope to every corner of the nation as it fixes its gaze on the big picture, which is about 4 months away from now.
Meanwhile, outside the shores of the country, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, continues his engagements in the United States with a visit to the State Department, where he met with a team led by the Assistant Secretary, Bureau of African Affairs, Molly P. He explained on his Twitter handle that the focus of their discussions was on the need to seek collaborative solutions to the nation's democracy and governance issues. One of the tweets reads, "Most importantly, we secured commitments to support for free and fair elections in Nigeria and an announcement of a sanction policy before the elections to deter anti-democratic forces and commitments for continued partnership with Nigeria in areas of security and development." Staying with politics back here, the Catholic Bishop of Sokoto Diocese, Bishop Matthew Kukah, is urging Nigerians, especially the Christian community, not to worry themselves with the choices made by political parties in fielding their candidates. According to him, political parties should be ready to live with the consequences of their actions, as Nigerians would determine which political party to vote for. The Catholic cleric made this comment at the Pastors and Church Leaders Summit 2022, organized by the Adamawa State chapter of the Christian Association of Nigeria in Yola, the state capital.
It's a conference of pastors and other church leaders from across Adamawa State put together by the state chapter of the Christian Association of Nigeria. The Bishop of Sokoto Diocese, Bishop Hassan Kukah, is one of the guest speakers at this event. In his remarks, the Catholic bishop admonishes the Christian community to make the right decisions in the forthcoming general elections.
We have to all make the right calculation and not be swayed by emotions. Because after what we have seen through in Nigeria, we must avoid a mentality of us versus them.
On the sideline of the event, the Catholic bishop also advises Christians not to be worried about the decisions made by politicians on whom to represent their parties in the forthcoming general elections.
Nobody is going to force you as a Christian to vote one way or the other. And as I said, I'm moving away from this idea, this binary view of Christians and Muslims. That's not who we are as Nigerians. That's not what happens in the marketplace. That's not what happens across this country. There are no Christian roads. There are no Christian thieves or Muslim saints. Okay? For me, I don't see why any Christian, I'm sorry to say, should be worried about the choice that a political party has made. Whatever decision any politician makes, they will live with the consequences.
However, the Adamawa State chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria is asking pastors and other church leaders to provide proper guidance to their followers.
The role of the pastor is not only on the pulpit, it's beyond the pulpit. He has a lot of work to do, even in the community, in the church, in the society, even in politics, he has a role to do. It is our duty to, if our people are not going the right direction, we can show them the way, so that because we're supposed to be their leader, not only in principle, but even in practice.
About 1,000 persons are attending this church summit, where some issues of concern, including the 2023 general elections, are placed on the table for discussions.
To other issues now, as severe flooding continues in the country unabated with its attendant effects, so many people have been displaced from their homes in the affected communities in Rivers State. One of the worst hit local councils is the Akwa Ibom local government area of the state. In this report, we take a look at the conditions in some of these IDP camps.
Dejection and despair are the expression on these faces at one of the internally displaced persons camps for flood victims in Omoku local government area headquarters in Rivers State. Many communities completely submerged. The economic, academic and social activities of the people have stopped because of the high water level. Channels Television visits 4 of the holding camps in the worst areas, and our first stop is the camp at St. Stephen Primary School, Omoku, where classrooms now serve as sleeping room for displaced persons.
We have put a plan in place to ensure that life after the flooding, they will get some relief materials. We also have several IDP camps. I can't count them offhand. We have them listed that we have also set up during the flooding. Even now, the flood has not even receded in some communities.
We don't have security guide in these 3 schools. So our council chairman, they have provided a horseback. They normally come on a routine check. And if you look at the environment, you see that there is no fence. What we need here is food. We need food. People have been helping us. Our council chairman have also tried for us. Our governor, some NGOs. But we need federal government presence.
At Ogbogu and Akabuka camps, where the secondary schools have been converted to IDP camps, the children complain that the food is not enough and they want to return to school. Finally, at a camp in a Rema community, the flood victims appear to be having fun with music, dance competition and table tennis. The coordinator explains that the facility was provided by one of the oil companies, Total Energies, which operates in the area.
A lot of goodwill from persons in the local government and beyond. People have been coming, supporting them, providing net, providing foodstuffs, providing medicines.
For now, the flood victims at the various holding camps are terrified by the effects of the flood and say a lot more have to be done to tackle the post-flood challenges.
The long fuel queues that characterize the nation's capital for some time now are gradually disappearing as motorists now find it easier to buy petrol. At some fuel stations visited in Abuja, the motorists say they have not been on queues for so long compared to the past, where they spent a whole day just to get the product.
For the past 6 weeks, motorists in Abuja have had a difficult time purchasing premium motor spirit, also known as petrol. And although the authorities mentioned the flooding in Lokoja as a primary reason for the development, motorists in the nation's capital became agitated when the flood subsided and the scarcity persisted. However, about a week ago, the authorities had promised that the situation will improve as they were working around the clock to address the matter.
For Abuja, we have to do in excess of 150, 60, 70 trucks a day within Abuja and the environs for it to be wet. It's even worse when you have a scarcity. You have to sustain it in an increased manner for you to kill that. And we're hopeful that Abuja in the next 2, 3, 4 days will begin to experience the kind of supplies that will have it very wet. What we're having now is about 50-60% of what should be in Abuja, but hopefully sustained momentum within the next 3, 4 days will resolve the issue.
Following the promise, the situation in the past 2 days appears to be gradually improving.
The line is no more again. So everything is going on as usual. So we hope everything will continue like that.
Not too long ago. I just got here. No, I haven't been here for long.
How often are you to get paid today?
Better than black market, bro.
I've been here for 1 hour now. I came here, I met the attendant, and they are telling me that they are trying to discharge now, so I should wait after discharge and they will send for us. The next 1 hour, I think there is a problem. We go.
It is hoped that as motorists in the nation's capital begin a new week and a new month, the situation will indeed improve significantly and the queues will be history.
In part two, after the break, a new oil and gas onshore logistic hub to kick off in Akwa Ibom State as the state government and NNPC Limited sign an agreement for the project. That's in a moment. Do stay with us. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television. A reminder of our main stories. Labour Party presidential flag bearer Peter Obi promises to tackle challenges of food production and flooding if voted into power in 2023, as the party flags off its nationwide campaign in Lafia, Nasarawa State. Be ready to live with the consequences of your choices. Bishop Matthew Kukah challenges political parties on their selection of candidates for the general elections. It's a tale of despair in various camps for persons displaced by the ravaging flood in River State. We capture the condition in camps as the victims struggle to make meaning out of their situation. And death toll in a stampede in South Korea rises to over 100, with about 100 more people injured after a large crowd gathered in a popular nightlife area in Seoul to celebrate Halloween. The Akwa Ibom State Government and NNPC Limited have signed an agreement for the construction of an onshore logistic hub for the oil and gas industry. The project is located in Ibaka and Ifiat in Mbo local government area of the state. At the signing ceremony held at the State Executive Chambers in Uyo, the governor, Mr. Udom Emmanuel, pled the administration's commitment to seeing to the completion of the project. Our energy correspondent, Olu Phillips, has the rest of the story.
It's about $1 billion worth of infrastructural development and a solution hub for the oil and gas industry in Nigeria, and it will be built in Akwa Ibom State. So this meeting will see the PPP partners signing the deal for its start.
Let me also, on behalf of the government and good people, say that we will give maximum cooperation to ensure that this project is well executed. The community is well represented, the paramount ruler is there, the community leaders are here, the Surveyor General, the entire government structure, we're all here. I want to thank you for coming up so that we can sign the shareholders agreement and give you 100% reassurance that will be a very hitch-free, nobody will disturb this project at all.
A bit of what today is about. And from the books, the Nigerian upstream oil and gas is regarded as one of the most expensive to do business with globally, where HR, logistics and direct handling costs represent almost 70% of the total operating cost of the industry, and marine logistics making up to 44% of that component. That is about to change.
NNPC is committed to work with Akwa Ibom State Government and Solution Hub to expeditiously, like Cynthia said, deploy all resources necessary to make sure this loan project is a reality. Today is an important milestone, and it is also important to know that the journey has just begun for Akwa Ibom and for the nation.
NNPC is partnering Akwa Ibom State government on this with these benefits in mind: gas supply infrastructure, industrial utilities and services, port services, and more.
The proposed Ibaka Industrial Complex is one of such efforts by NNPC Limited in partnership with the Akwa Ibom State government and foreign investors. This is to develop an integrated logistics hub that can service the Nigerian upstream industry and the entire Gulf of Guinea. This facility is entirely intended to be funded by private funds and would help deliver benefits such as employment creation, competitive logistic rates, increased offshore accessibility and services, infrastructural development, and business creation.
Then to the bond agreement proper.
Infrastructure, particularly utilities, have already been planned, and master plan has been developed. So far, a significant amount of money has said. We've gotten all the approvals, including your own approval, sir. And therefore, there's no reason for us not to make a final investment decision on this. And all the plan has been there, and I'd like to assure you that for us, we see value. For us, we see an opportunity to bring development closer to where we operate. And that would crash down the cost, and that would enable us to meet the mandate of Mr. President.
The project is estimated to span 5 years to fruition, with financing coming from the private sector and also secured. Olu Phillips, Channels Television News.
Still talking energy, the Zungeru hydroelectric power project is now over 96% completed and is set to add 700 megawatts to the national grid. And that's according to the Minister of Power, Mr. Abubakar Aliyu, who said that apart from providing more power to Nigerians, the project is currently providing jobs and more people will be employed as it progresses. Speaking during an inspection of the project in Niger State, the minister explained that the project is one of the priorities of the current administration, adding that all that is needed for the project to be completed on schedule have already been provided. To security issues now, the Inspector General of Police, Usman Alkali Baba, has asked Nigerians to disregard the information by the United States and other foreign countries on an intelligence indicating a possible terror attack in the nation's capital, Abuja. The IGP spoke in Ibuza, Delta State, where he commissioned a model police station and barracks built by the Nigerian police to be occupied by police officers serving in that community. According to the IGP, policing is a collective responsibility and is unnecessary to cause chaos amongst residents and the country as a whole.
Yes, there is security alert. You didn't tell me the security alert. You are in my country, or you are in my territory, or you are in my place. But you want to tell your people. I mean, it doesn't make sense. Be that as it may, be that as it may, we will make efforts to douse it, and we are proving that what they are saying are not true, and even if it is true, we have taken measures to forestall it. Don't go to Abuja. Abuja is, is that a solution? Not to go to Abuja. Will that solve the problem?
Staying with security matters, the father of an assistant superintendent of police attached to the Kebbi State Police Command, who was allegedly killed by his colleague, is calling on police authorities to fish out his son's killers. Until his death, the victim served as a divisional crime officer at the Arugungu Kebbi State Police Command and was said to have been stabbed to death by one of his colleagues following a misunderstanding. Addressing a news conference in Kaduna, the victim's father, who is a former chairman of the Nigerian Union of Journalists, Kaduna State Council, explained the circumstances surrounding the incident.
And what actually happened by the analysis of what we saw while bathing him, doing the funeral ritual bath, before taking him to his grave, we realized the head has been strangled, left and right, such that when we were buying, the head was like this. When they try to say, okay, shift here, let us wash the back, the head comes like this. And I am calling on the chairman, Police Service Commission, the chairman, Senate Police Committee, the chairman of the lower arms of the government, that is the House of Reps, and then my own state of origin, Katsina State, I want them to come up. It is their son who could have been somebody to protect their interests, even in the selection and posting and whatever it was that has to do with police. Now, one of them is lost, gruesomely murdered, and nobody talked. Thank you. And the final thing is that I am ready, even if I will sell my only car, my only house, to take son up to Supreme Court. I will do to make sure justice is done.
A group of Igbo elders have raised concerns over what they described as a worsening state of security in the southeast, as they are calling on states and the federal government not to spare any efforts in addressing the situation. The group told journalists in Abuja that they are especially disturbed about the new wave of violence and killings in Imo and Ebonyi states, despite the presence of the regional security outfit called Ebubeagu.
As the nation prepares for very crucial elections in February and March 2023, no effort should be spared to restore peace to all sections of the country, the Southeast in particular. And Igbo urges all citizens to eschew violence before, during, and after the general election. We acknowledge that we have no other country to call our own than Nigeria. Igbo wishes to note with regret that the Ebubeagu outfits in Ebonyi and Imo states do not so far reflect the original structure and purpose that was agreed upon by all stakeholders. These outfits should therefore be reset as a matter of urgency or be disbanded. Igbo also urges the Inspector General of Police to call the police commands in Ebonyi and Imo states to order and to compel them to put a stop to any excesses of Ebubeagu. We equally urge the Inspector General of Police to investigate all accusations by victims that Ebubeagu runs torture chambers both in Imo and Ebonyi states.
Still ahead on the news at 10. Russia halts Black Sea grain export deal brokered by the United Nations and Turkey, citing attack on Crimea. That's business news in a moment. Do join us again. Welcome back. Arise Women's Ministry, a faith-based non-governmental organization, has celebrated the 14th edition of the Arise Women's Conference today, an event dedicated to the empowerment of women in the society. It's a convergence of women of substance, celebrating another season of the yearly event that has over time become a turning point for many participants who look forward to the discussions that motivate and empower them, as well as other female folk in the country.
A convergence of women of substance celebrating another season of the Arise Women's Conference, a yearly event that has over time become a turning point for many participants who look forward to discussions that motivate and empower them and other women folk in the country. The 14th edition comes with the theme, by appointment, a realization that everyone has an appointment to live.
What it matters to every single one of us is just that we are women. We are women and we are the heartbeat of the nation. If a woman is not involved in nation building, it's sooner than later. The country is likely to crash.
Some notable women here are the wife of the Lagos State Governor, Dr. Ibijeke Sanwo-Olu, former Imo State First Lady, Mrs. Nkechi Okorocha, former First Lady of Nasarawa State, Dr. Mero Almakura, CEO of the Diaspora Commission, Mrs. Abike Dabiri Erewa, wife of the Chief of Defense Staff, Mrs. Vicky Rabo, Vice Chancellor Designate of the University of Lagos, Professor Folashade Ogunshola, Special Advisor to the President on the Ease of Doing Business, Dr. Jumoke Oduwole, amongst others. One of the special invitees for the day who graces the front cover of this year's Arise magazine is the wife of the Deputy Governor of Lagos State, Mrs. Oluremi Hamzat, who is represented by her husband.
I think part of the challenge for us in our country today is that we are not keeping our appointment with God. We are not keeping our appointment with God. I must say that people in this hall has a major role to play, because you hear stories in our country and you wonder what has happened to us as a people. You have a 16-year-old boy doing money rituals. What has happened to our subconscious? Why is it that we are no longer a godly people?
A word of encouragement from the Vice Chancellor Designate of the University of Lagos, Professor Folashade Ogunshola, the first woman to hold that position.
Any woman can be the Vice Chancellor of the University of Lagos if you're in that space. And I think any woman can lead any organization that exists in Nigeria. I think we've been sold something about being the weaker sex. I actually think we're the stronger sex. It is on us that the family stands. But more importantly, I think what I want to share is that if I can, anybody can.
Women make a large percentage of the labor market, especially the informal sector, and the special advisor to the president on ease of doing business gives a few tips on how to tap into what the government offers.
So many women are making beauty products like shea butter, like Zobo. So many people are trying to export potato chips, cassava chips. The processes that run those businesses from NAFDAC to CAC, those are the kinds of interventions that the council deals with.
To close out the day, Madam Deborah Fashoyi, leader of the CAC Good Women's Choir, sings one of the group's most popular songs, known for closing out the year. Arise Women's Ministry is a faith-based non-governmental organization committed to accelerating nation building through the empowerment of women in the society and propelling them to achieve economic gain and power.
In Ogun State, the 14th traditional ruler, Olowu of Owu Kingdom in Abeokuta, the state capital, Professor Saka Matemilola, has been presented with his certificate, staff, and instrument of office by the Ogun State Governor, Dapo Abiodun. At a ceremony held in Abeokuta North local government area of the state, the governor admonished the monarch on the need to provide purposeful leadership for socio-economic development of the state. Performing his first official assignment, the new ruler solicited the understanding and cooperation of his people to ensure peace and unity.
It's a massive crowd at the two-pronged event
the presentation of the staff of office, and the 23rd Owu Day celebration. Present are 2 former state governors, members of the State Executive Council, officials from the National and State Assemblies, the Alake of Egbaland, the Oni of Ife, the Olu of Wari, and other traditional rulers from near and far, amongst other dignitaries. They are all gathered to be part of history, the coronation and presentation of the staff of office to the new monarch. The arrival of the state governor, Akwa Ibom, kickstarts the event as he takes time to greet the dignitaries. And straight to the occasion all have been waiting for. Governor Abiodun presents the staff of office and symbol of authority to the Olowu of Owu.
I therefore have the honor and privilege to congratulate the new Alayeluwa. It is imperative that we bear it in mind that the KBC is an embodiment and a symbol of our collective interests personified. Let me therefore call on all people of Owu Kingdom to rally around and cooperate with the new KBC so that Owu Kingdom will continue on its path of progress and new development.
He also challenges the traditional ruler to be purposeful in leadership in order to achieve growth and development for the people.
Alayeluwa, I'm in no doubt that regard your appointments as a call to serve. I'm also confident that you will concentrate on this task of accelerating the pace of socio-economic development in Owu Kingdom and Egbaland by mobilizing people in such a manner that their efforts will complement the initiatives of our administration's mantra, which is our building a future together agenda.
The rich cultural heritage of the Owu people, as symbolized by their leader, comes to play as the new traditional ruler, joined by other dignitaries, displayed his dexterity with the drum. And in what seems as the unveiling of his action plans, the new Olowu promises not to betray the confidence reposed in him by his people.
As I step into my new role as Olowu, I will be following in the long line of remarkable Olowus who have all made lasting impact of Owu Kingdom. We have already mapped out an ambitious agenda that is designed to usher in unity, peace, prosperity, and pride in Owu people.
With his ascension to the throne, the Olowu of Owu now appears poised to join hands with the state government to bring the much-needed development to his people. Time to find out what's happening in the world of business with Laddie Williams.
Thanks, Melinda. Well, in business news, Russia today suspended participation in the UN-brokered Black Sea grain deal indefinitely after what is said was a major Ukrainian drone attack on its fleet in Crimea. Russia's defense ministry said Ukraine attacked the Black Sea fleet near Sevastopol on the annexed Crimean Peninsula with 16 drones earlier today. That British Navy specialists had helped coordinate the terrorist attack. Can be recalled in July, Ukraine and Russia agreed to the Black Sea Grain Initiative, brokered by the United Nations in Turkey, which was supposed to be renewed in November. And then, in apparent response to claims by the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, that her ministry was not carried along by the Central Bank of Nigeria in the ongoing process of redesigning 3 series of the Naira, the bank insists it followed the law and due processes to carry out the exercise, which is 12 years due. CBN says in line with the provision of Section 2B, Section 18A, and Section 19A and B of the CBN Act 2007, the management of the bank has duly sought and obtained the approval of President Muhammadu Buhari in writing to redesign, produce, release, and circulate new series of the 200, 500, and 1,000 Naira banknotes. According to the bank, currency management in the country had faced several escalating challenges which have threatened its integrity, adding that every top-rate central bank is committed to safeguarding the integrity of the local legal tender, the efficiency of its supply, as well as its efficacy in the conduct of monetary policy. And trading activity at the forex market was negative this week as the total turnover of the transactions carried out at the FX spot, forwards and futures markets fell by 21.17% to $566.74 million as of October the 28th. Trading results shows the total value of transactions at the iron-in window fell by 9.73% to $362.10 million, while the transactions at the FX derivatives market dropped by 36.61% to $204.64 million. Similarly, the value of the naira fell by 0.20% to 441 naira 63 kobo against the dollar at the NAFEX window, compared to 440 naira 76 kobo recorded last week. And the equities market kicked off the week on a positive note. However, the bears resurfaced on the penultimate and last trading days of the week as investors booked profits on bellwether stocks. The all-share index dipped by 1.09% week on week to close at 43,912 points. Profit taken in Dangote Cement, Airtel Africa, and GTCO drove the weekly loss. The year-to-date gain currently stands at 2.8%. Analyzing activity levels, the total volume and value traded declined by 36.1% and 14.8% week-on-week, respectively. Sectoral performance was largely negative. Banking and industrial goods indexes closed positive, while the other sectoral indices recorded losses. Looking at the big names, bellwether stock Boss Cement was the market mover this week, while Dangote Cement and Honeywell Flour and Unilever recorded huge losses. The financial services sector drove market volume and value this week as Mutual Benefits and Assurance, Sterling Bank, and Fidelity Bank featured to the top 3 of the trade list. And similarly, the NASD unlisted securities exchange index closed the week deeply in the red. The NASD securities index tumbled more than 1%, with over 10 billion naira wiped off the market capitalization. At the same time, volume and value of stocks traded fell significantly. Volume declined by 21.1% to about 1.05 million units traded, while value dropped to about 41.9 million naira from 127.9 million naira traded last week. There were no gainers for the week. However, Friesland Campina, WAMCO, Central Securities Clearing System were the sole losers this week. Meanwhile, Friesland, Campina, WAMCO, and Double One PLC were among the top stocks traded by volume for the week. And that's business news. Back to Melinda with the rest of the news.
Many thanks, Ladi. And for what's up in the world of sports, here's Victor Matthias.
Indeed, Melinda, welcome to the world of sports. Now, Nigeria has reached the final qualifying round for CAF Under-23 African Cup of Nations. Nigeria defeated Tanzania 2-0 to progress 3-1 on aggregate in the second leg of the second round played today at the Lekan Salami Stadium in Ibadan, Oyo State. Nigeria will face the winner between Guinea and Uganda in March next year for a place at the competition billed for Morocco also next year. The CAF Under-23 African serves as qualifiers for the men's football event of the 2024 Olympic Games in Paris. Now, Super Eagles forward Victor Osimhen has continued his red-hot return from injury with a hat-trick in Napoli's 4-0 win over Sassuolo, which sent his team 6 points clear at the top of Serie A. Osimhen struck twice in the first 19 minutes in Naples and then slotted home his third with 13 minutes remaining to ensure Napoli extended both their club record winning streak to 13 matches. Osimhen's clinical display of finishing took his league tally this season to 7 goals in 8 appearances and moved him level with Bologna's Marko Arnautovic at the top of the scoring charts. In the English Premier League, Manchester City moved to the top of the Premier League table after Kevin De Bruyne's world-class free kick broke down Leicester City's resistance. Now, Graham Potter endured a nightmare return to Amex Stadium as Brighton thrashed Chelsea to claim a first victory under their new manager, Roberto De Zerbi. Crescencio Somerville scored a dramatic late winner as Leeds United stunned Liverpool to move out of the relegation zone. Now, Tottenham Hotspur fought back from 2 goals down to beat AFC Bournemouth. Now, Callum Wilson also scored twice as Newcastle United continued their impressive form by trashing Aston Villa. Crystal Palace held on to earn a narrow victory, their 3rd consecutive home win of the season against Southampton. Now, the informed Felix Auger-Aliassime has passed his biggest test yet at the Swiss indoors in Basel after he delivered a stunning all-round performance to defeat world number 1 Carlos Alcaraz 6-3, 6-2. Auger-Aliassime kept Alcaraz constantly under pressure with some blistering hitting from the baseline throughout the clash, while also demonstrating some of the huge serving that has defined his European indoor hardcourt season so far. Meanwhile, Danish teen Holger Rune has reached his 3rd consecutive final on the ATP Tour after upsetting Spain's Roberto Bautista Agut to reach the championship match at the Swiss indoors. Rune overcame a 6-2 deficit in the 2nd set tiebreak and won 6 points in a row to beat Bautista Agut 7-6, 7-6 in just a little over 2 hours. Having won the title in Stockholm last week, Rune has now won 9 matches in a row. He is also assured of making his top 20 debut for the first time in the rankings next week. And Daniil Medvedev has made short work of his last 4 matches against Grigor Dimitrov to reach the final of the ATP tournament in Vienna. Medvedev did not face a single break point in a dominant 6-4, 6-2 victory. He is edging closer to securing his place at the ATP finals, which gets underway in Turin on November 13th. The 26-year-old Russian, who won the season-ending event in 2020, sits 5th in the standings.
Ja, spielen wir als Afrika. Game, 7 match. Daniil Medvedev. 2 sets to love. 6-4, 6-2.
And it's game, sets, and match as well on Sports News. Thank you so very much for watching. I'm Victor Matthias. It's back to Melinda.
Many thanks, Victor. On the international scene, after many months of dispute, South Africa's Zulu nation now officially has a king. King Misuzulu's coronation took place today at a ceremony held at the Moses Mabhida Stadium in Durban. In attendance were dignitaries from all walks of life, including President Cyril Ramaphosa and former leaders Thabo Mbeki and Jacob Zuma, as well as other dignitaries. President Ramaphosa handed over the certificate, fulfilling his promise after recognizing him as a king in March this year, following divisions in the royal family caused by the battle for ascension. The last coronation took place over 50 years ago, back in 1971. A lot of long faces in Seoul at the moment, as about 120 people are reported dead in a crush amongst huge crowd in a popular nightlife area of the South Korean capital, in a Halloween event. That's about 100 people dead. About 100 people are also said to have been injured. Body bags were seen on the streets with emergency workers performing CPR and rescuers trying to pull people trapped. South Korea's president has called for an emergency meeting. There were reportedly 100,000 revelers in the area celebrating the first outdoor no-mask event since the COVID-19 pandemic. And the main news again. The Labour Party today flagged off its campaign for the 2023 general elections in Lafia, the Nasarawa state capital. Presidential flag bearer of the party, Peter Obi, promised to tackle challenges of food production, education, electricity and flooding if voted into power next year. Also today, the Bishop of the Catholic Diocese of Sokoto, Matthew Kukah, challenged political parties on their selection of candidates for the general election, asking them to be ready to live with the consequences. The cleric made the comment at this year's Pastors and Church Leaders Summit in Yola, the Adamawa state capital. That's the news at 10 tonight. I'm Melinda Akinlami. On behalf of the team, good night.